Pause the video, give these 2 questions a go yourself properly. Okay, let's do the first one. Well, serial is going to be linked with sequential access. This is basically saying where records are accessed one at a time after each other without an order. It's useful for when we do like batch processing. That means like a water company sending out everyone's bills at the same day, same time. It's printed all off in one go. We then have sequential. Sequential with sequential. Makes perfect sense. This, in this situation, means that the records are stored in an order. We might have a key, and they can be accessed sequentially one at a time. But also, if it's organized using a key, we can directly go to a specific person. So let's imagine we've got customer 1, Joe, customer 2, Mary. We could print Joe's information off, and we can print Mary's information off. We can then do Dominic's. Or, let's imagine that we just want Mary's information. We can go direct to Mary. It gives us that option. And random is direct. It allows, again, quick retrieval of information. So it's great for things like ATM machines, which we'll talk about in the next one. Okay. So, a bank with a large number of customers, blah, 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 3 file systems. A file that stores customer personal data is files used at the end of the month. That's key for monthly statements. Well, the most useful thing for this would be, I would go with, you've got 2 options. You've got your sequential. Going with sequential would basically mean that we are going to be going through in an order one at a time to produce like a batch statement. So we can print all of these off at once, but we're doing it in order of customer with all the information. So all of Mary's information, all of Joe's information, all of Dominic's within there. So it's nice and organized. We could, so if I was to do this, I'd say all customers at once, get a statement. So it's it's sequential is good for batch processing. It's one after another. And the file is organized using a unique, so we've got unique ID, which gives it organization. So it's like a primary key. So that would work. You can deal with what we call high hit rate, dealing with many things at once. But we can also do it as serial. Because again, we've got the high hit rate, everyone gets it at the same time. So it's suitable for batch, all records processed. Now, it doesn't mention anything about order being important. So order of printing out and sending, not important. If it did say it was important, sequential is going to be the only thing we could use. Now, it makes sense to use sequential over serial, but it depends on how the system is set up. If the system's set up using sequential, which it is, we go sequential. Serial is just a waste of time, but it's there as an option. We've then got B, a file that stores encrypted personal PIN numbers of customers for files accessed when a customer attempts to withdraw cash. Okay, so we've got one customer going direct to their account. Therefore, we use random. We store the data using random. That's how we want the organization to be. We want it so that it can do real-time transactions, because we want it straight away, rather than batch. So it needs to be fast processing. And using a hashing algorithm, we can go straight to record instead of having to do a linear search. So it's ideal for QuickTime, real-time systems. So keep in mind, organization is all about how we organize our data. Access is how we retrieve information. So this answer is basically combining these two. So really I could be saying random for organization and direct for access. Just be extremely technical. And the final question that we're having to deal with. So in this situation, if we go through as a file, stores all customer transaction records for the current month, let's say December. Every time a customer makes a transaction, a new record is created, so it doesn't say anything about order. It doesn't say anything about real time, like logging in or something. So we know that it's going to be serial, because customer A makes a transaction, they deposit $100. Customer B, $400 for December. Customer A again, $200. It's not caring about the order, it just adds it to the file. So each new record is appended. In order of transaction, but not customer. So it's sequential in terms of the access, but it's serial in terms of it just adds person, doesn't care who it is. So it does have an order in terms of transaction, but not grouping customers together. It doesn't need to reorganize, therefore not required. It doesn't need to for each new record. So if it was using sequential, and let's imagine that we added another customer B, every time we add, it reorganizes. It puts B with B and A with A. So it keeps reorganizing itself. In this situation, it doesn't need to. So therefore, serial is perfect, everything else sucks. As always, pause the video, give us a go yourself first. Alright, so this is the most appropriate. So a text file, really by default, is going to be serial. So if you think about it, when we do like f.write, and we do like hello, and the next one is f.write, goodbye, it adds it in the order of what we're appending. We might want to do some logic first to put it into an order, like a bubble sort or whatever it may be, but by default, it works by serial. File for recording the temperature every single hour. Again, that would be serial. Why? Because we've got, let's say, hour 1, and it just appends for hour 1, then hour 2, hour 3. So every hour it just appends. It's not keeping track of any order apart from the hour itself. We're not grouping anything by day, we're not grouping it by month. A master file for paying each employee every month. So we need to something which can deal with batch, because it does it all at once. Now, we want to really match up the employee to their pay information. So the most suitable one would be sequential. You could argue that it's going to be serial, but with sequential makes sense because we would have the employee information probably in a record and probably in an order. Customer's username and password, so we're accessing something, so customer types in their username and password, we want to go straight to it, so it's quick, real time, random. Okay, so pause the video, give these 3 questions a go yourself first. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put similar, difference, similarities, differences. So in both, records are stored one after another. They also need to be accessed. If we're using sequential method, so one after another. However, the way they're stored, serial, is a chronological order. Whilst sequential, it uses the key field orders for records. So ordered records key field. In serial, new records are appended to the file in free spaces, whilst sequential, file needs to be reorganized for new records to be put in correct position. Most suitable method of file access where a record is referenced by a unique address. So we normally do that through hash. So we use a hash, we go to the direct location address, which is normally direct access, not random. Random is how we organize it. To access it, to reference it, to go to it, file access, we use direct access. When a bank stores its data records in ascending order of account number, so this is going to be the key ID field, so it's going to be sequential access. It's not chronological, it's using the key field of account number.